we just started doing this podcast. So that became a radio show in London, which became movie. We did 10 documentaries for Al Jazeera English. We did a show for BBC World last year, which became the series on Russia Today. And the benefit that we have is that we've been talking about gold for a number of years, and it keeps going up. So we have credibility. All along the way, people have been saying, the bull market. It's not going to keep going higher, but it keeps going higher. And the only major, I would say, economically speaking, the only major adjustment in my thinking that I had to make was in 2008, because after the crack in 2007, and everyone,
the big pullback,
there was a huge rush of cash, and so people said, "This is inflation. This is going to be inflationary." But in fact, it's deflation, isn't it? We're in a deflationary period. I mean, and now after having been on Wall Street for 25 years, I realized I'd never actually been in a deflationary period. I'd been in disinflationary, I'd been in low inflation, but I'd never actually experienced outright deflation. So it took me about 6 months to just understand what that meant. But other than that, we've been pretty good about picking how this thing is moving. For gold, it didn't mean anything. The price kept going up.
I was trying to get people to buy at $300 an ounce, $350, and they're going, gold is the worst investment you can get. It's been going down for 20 years. And I go, exactly. It's been going down for 20 years. And they just don't get it. It's all cycles, waves and cycles,
Well, after the 87 crash, I remember I bought a ton of gold, and that was way too early when I was working as a stockbroker. Because, the day after the crash, Greenspan, Rubin, and Reagan created the Working Group on Finance, which became the plunge protection team as it's known today.
One of the manipulators.
Right, and gold, and they snuffed that. Gold was poised to start to make a move, but they then the government started to openly trade markets. The S&P futures contracts, the Treasury and the Federal Reserve were actually in there trading. So that was the day that the whole idea between separation of government and market, between free market capitalism and ended, essentially, because you had the U.S. government equipped with the Fed and the Treasury rigging prices.
Yeah.
And so the price of gold has had to fight that ever since.
Well, I love what you're doing as far as the way you've been exposing everything that's going on in the financial system, the shenanigans.
Yeah.
And calling them terrorists.
Yeah, the financial terrorists. I think I'm the first on TV to use that phrase. International TV. I think I really kind of coined that phrase.
You did.
And people use it now. It's become a common phrase. And there's 4 basic characteristics of the financial terrorist. You've got a busted ideology. These are people who misread Adam Smith, and they are radical extremist interpretation of Adam Smith. You've got God complex, where they think that they're working for God, as Lloyd Blankfein said. He's doing God's work. You have extraordinary, extreme, radical leverage in the able to use incredible access to cheap money to create seismic events. Like the 9/11 event was a $500,000 cost for that event. It caused trillions of dollars in damage. The flash crash of May 6th of this past May, you just put an algorithm that doesn't cost you anything, and you knocked $1 trillion off the market. So it's extraordinary leverage. And then there's a fourth piece to it, what I call suicide bankers. So these are bankers like you saw, who are willing to blow themselves up for their ideological beliefs. So whether it's Dick Fuld at Lehman Brothers, or Bear Stearns, or Hank Paulson, who went before Congress and said, either give us $700 billion, I'm going to blow myself up, essentially. I'm going to blow up the economy. So these are suicide bankers wielding extremist views as financial terrorists who are wielding weapons of mass financial destruction. And it's only getting worse. And the weapons are paper.
Yeah.
They're throwing $1 trillion lightning bolts of paper at each other. And what's that going to do to the supply of paper? Increase it. What's it going to do to the price of gold? It's going to go up. Right?
Yeah, and the only thing they can't destroy is gold. All that paper is basically just an idea behind it. There's faith in it. It's just a piece of paper with numbers.
Beyond just an idea, it's a radical fundamentalist ideology.
Yes.
Just like, Islamic fundamentalists, you can say they have a warped view of the Quran. They are using weapons of mass destruction. They're killing civilians. Same thing with the weapons of mass financial destruction. They have a warped view of Adam Smith. They're using weapons of mass financial destruction, killing civilians' jobs, killing civilians' lives. They're equally extremists. They're radical extremists. And they're funded by the same guys. They have the same banks.
So thanks. See RT, that's RT?
Russia
Today.
Now RT.
Which is one of the largest channels going as far as distribution in all the different countries that it hits, right?
Well, they're really cleaning up. They're putting to shame Al Jazeera English, BBC, World, France 24. It's an English-speaking network, and they're just the popularity is rising exponentially because they've just decided to not try to. You know, the problem with some of these other English-speaking networks is they try to stay. They don't want to insult the empire. They don't want to step on the toes of the empire, the Fox News in the U.S.
Right.
So they're very shy about it. But RT, Russia Today, is like, you know what? We want to create our own global space, and we want these stories to drive our audience, and we're not going to kowtow to anybody. And as a result, the audience is skyrocketing. In our show, Keiser Report, you know, we're getting 60, 70 million viewers. And let me just point out for a second here to those liberal media types like Bill Maher, Jon Stewart, who's that chick on CNBC?
Rachel Maddow.
Rachel Maddow, okay? They are making the mistake of saying that the U.S. public has been reimbursed for the money that was used to bail out the banks and these corporations. That's completely false. The amount of indebtedness has been skyrocketing. Learn how to read a freaking balance sheet before opening your mouth.
And what's your website?
My website, maxkeiser.com.
maxkeiser.com. You want the scoop? Go to maxkeiser.com.
Thanks, Mike.
And that is happening simultaneously with this deflation. The world's central banks are going to come in to rescue us once again. They're going to try and prop this thing up. And they're going to print, and they're going to print, and they're going to print until deflation starts to give way. Then, through the miracle of fractional reserve banking, we could actually have a hyperinflation without even the governments can turn off the printing presses. We could go into a hyperinflation. So these are some of my predictions of what's coming.